Hey everyone, Emma Ansa here. Thanks so much for tuning into the Black Experience. Today I am with Karen Samuels.
Hello.
She is a philanthropist. She does such amazing things in the community, and we are going to talk about epilepsy. So, Karen, tell everybody about yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karen Samuels, and I'm actually a mental health advocate and self love influencer. I started off in this journey a little confused little girl that didn't know what was happening inside of her. Grown up into an adult and had certain episodes happen to me, which those episodes, realizing now, were seizures. Full memory loss, not understanding what was going on, and again, coming from the Caribbean background, being black, this is something that you don't discuss mind and things happening there. Several years later, a lot of therapy, I found out I have epilepsy. It was something first that I thought, hmm, I have something, so I was ashamed of it. Now I use it as my power. So I'm ready to tell you guys all about my journey with epilepsy.
Thank you so much for that, Karen. So, tell us how it came to be that you developed epilepsy. Was there anything that happened in your life that triggered it? Was there anything about your environment or your home life that may have contributed to you developing epilepsy? And also tell us the different elements of epilepsy and how it affects your mental and physical health.
Absolutely. So as for how it happened, I couldn't tell you that. Not even the doctors can tell you. Epilepsy is a neurological disorder. I can't, I'm still learning about it, to be honest with you. But we've done many tests. They cannot, I was not born with it. No one can tell you what this is. However, yes, there are certain triggers. And from going back, just speaking with my specialist on when I started having these seizures, yes, there was something that happened traumatically in my life at that point that brought it to the forefront. But it looks like I could have been having it before, but not knowing what this was. So I have, epilepsy, and then with the epilepsy, you have seizures. So there are over 40 or even more different types of seizures. Type of seizures that I have are is the neurological one, where most people know that you drop, you start twitching, and you're unconscious basically. And then I have the focal seizure, which is also known as the awake seizure. So you and I could be talking right now, Emma, and I will blank out, which it kind of feels like, or like I'm in a dream or a daydream. I actually can be here and I could just stare at you or maybe just walk off, or I'll start talking about something else, but not even know that you're here. For me, again, if I don't really know what it feels like, but I know when I'm starting to come to, it kind of feels like I blanked out and I came back to, almost like a daydream. With that was happening a lot. The awake seizures. I was getting people that were around me that did not know about this or experience anything like this that started to say their thoughts, started to say their own impressions and rumors and put it out there. And that was, she's crazy. Something's wrong with her. She's crazy. But never asking me. Just pretending it didn't exist, nothing happened, and then going away and talking to other people. Do you know what happened to Karen? Do you know what this? And I was hearing the rumors back, but I didn't know what to say. You don't really say of anything. Then I was starting to forget certain things. I remember being at work, and at that point, I was doing a customer service telephone job with the headset. And I just remember I was talking to someone, then all of a sudden, I don't know what I was doing. Couldn't remember why I was on the phone or why I was there. And I would be asking questions at time to people, how did I get here? How was I here? I would just ignore it again. Okay, all right. Okay, didn't happen. I think after that, I had two car accidents where I was driving and the car was totaled. I just came back to, even the insurance company still asked, what was your injury? From the way that the car was totaled, I didn't get injured. But I just remember just coming back to, and there was no car. This kept on happening, but I wasn't telling anyone. And then I kept on forgetting things. I would go to work and not know my basic job. I wouldn't know what to do. I remember I was in a position and they demoted me from that position. That again played with my whole mental status. I couldn't understand why I was forgetting. I I don't even remember to this day being pregnant, but I do have a daughter. I do, know of her and so forth. There's people that I will see and they'll be Karen. I won't know who they are. I have gotten people that honestly that have said things about me. Oh, she's going on like this. She's going on like, but I don't know. You could tell me things because my short-term memory has been affected. You can say something to me. People say, write it down. I can write it down, but I will look back on the paper and don't know why I wrote down what I wrote down or what any relations to it. It is something that I do have to tell people. It is very hard sometimes to go through. It's frustrating. Uh, that can also be a trigger to bring on the seizures back. I had some serious self esteem issues. And at one point, because again, I wasn't telling anyone in our community, Emma, in the Black community, you don't talk. I'm 51 years old, so I grew up with you don't tell anybody something's wrong. I'm supposed to be that strong Black woman, strong Black person. So why would I say anything? And then if you hear anything about mind, that equals crazy. And there was also a look that was supposed to come with it. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't see that look. I wasn't dirty. I wasn't ugly. I wasn't disheveled. So there could be nothing wrong with me. At one point, I just couldn't take it anymore. I just could not. And again, not having someone that looked like me to relate to. Um, I just said, let me try to start all over again. That was what was going on in my mind. I didn't want to die. I just wanted to stop. So the water is my dad's a fisherman. The water is something that I love. I love to be around because he put me in the water very early. And I know the water is some very soothing. And I just remember filling up the tub and going under. Clearly, it didn't work. I came back up.
Which we are very happy about.
I am also. At that point, I think right after that, as I came out, my father called me. And growing up as a little girl, I used to think I was an airplane because I'm Jamaican. I came here in Canada when I was 3, but I've come from Montego Bay, which is right by the airport. And I used to watch those planes and feel like I was a plane. And I just remember when my dad called me, the memories. I can remember back to when I was 2, but I can't remember things that happened last week or even 5 years ago. I just remember that memory coming back, and I remember that feeling like that plane, the power up, the power up, the power up, the power up. I got myself back together, and it was 7 years of therapy. This is what got me to where I'm talking about things now to help those that are going through what I was going through or anything similar, but to show them this face. Yes, this face can go through things too, This face is talking about it, and let me help you get through your own individualized challenges, issues, confusions that you're having, letting you know that you're normal. You're just going to have to work through it and get professional help. Your story won't be my story. Your story will be your story, but at least you have someone that you can relate to that looks like you.
That's so inspiring, Karen. So tell me, I'm just going to get a little more comfortable. How or did the Black community help you at all once they discovered, what you've been diagnosed with? Did you feel like you got any support from the Black community? Were there any outreach centers or groups or anything like that, Black related, that were helpful to you?
I'm going to be honest. No, back then it's been about I'm going to say about 10 years now. When this first happened, there were traumas that I went through family wise growing up, and again, we had this thing that you don't talk about it outside. You don't talk about it. You put up this front. So for me, with the Black community, they were the ones that added the rumors or knew of things that were happening in the family but didn't discuss it. And that's just something that we did. It was actually okay, let's just go back to the whole church thing. I grew up in church, and I decided not to go back because I felt that the church turned its back on me. As how comes you never asked about where I was? How comes you never wondered what was going on, or no one reached out to me? So I said no. And I had my own issues with the church, and I had my own issues with God. I decided in the Black community, because again, you only heard rumors. I heard people saying that I was on drugs. Never, I don't. Only medication I take right now is the medication for my epilepsy. Um, I don't drink. I heard that I abuse drugs. Okay. I heard that I was a drinker. I don't know how to drink. I heard that I was smoking. I've never touched a cigarette or anything else in my life. I also heard I had a disease. I don't know if that person that said it was the one that gave it to me, but I've never had that either. So I decided to distance myself from the Black community. And it was someone non-Black that noticed a seizure that I had. And that person decided to ask, not tell. And that was another thing that I had with the Black community. They weren't listening to what I was saying. At that point, I said I had a problem with God. Do not talk to me about God. If I went and spoke with anybody Black, they would say, oh, go pray, go this. Did you not hear what I just said? The non-Black person started first listening and then asking me what I was saying, and then asking me, is it okay if we try this? How do you, without going to anything spiritual? And that person asked, can we have a conversation? She was a professional person. First, I said no. And she said, okay, can I tell you why I would like to have a conversation with you? Then I was more open. She made it my choice. She never had books that I needed to read. She never equated me to her. Again, she's a doctor, obviously a therapist, but she never had any of those therapy books around us because she listened to what I was saying. And she kept on asking me, would you like to try? Would you? She asked me what I liked to do. And then from there, she worked with, let's try this. She realized that I had an anger issue. She realized the anger issue came from somewhere. But instead of telling me, you should do this, you should, which I was getting those blacks that were always giving me or telling me what I should do, or comparing me to someone else. Well, this person, do you know everybody goes through this and everybody? Well, we weren't talking about everybody. We're talking about me. This brain isn't anybody else. And I got comfortable with that one person that let me release when I needed to release. Sometimes what you do, Emma, sometimes I just call and I just blurt out, and I'm not there. Sometimes I don't want to hear your opinion. I just want to get out what I need to get out and then hang up the phone. And this is what this therapist did. And that kind of helped me get comfortable with talking my story.
So this one person was sort of the catalyst for
Yes.
you to be able to be vocal. So how has that journey, or where has that taken you? And how did you get to the point now where you are so involved in advocacy, and you are such a giver. You're very much a giver. You pay it forward. How did you get from where you were to where you are today?
The memory loss. Let me start with that first. I started to remember things about when I was a little girl. I started to remember the love that I was receiving from my grandmother, my grandfather, and my father, which was, I'm going to tell you what I was missing when I came here at the age of maybe 3.5. That love um, I didn't get. Then realizing I was taught to love husband, man, God, mother, father, but I was never, ever, 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 ever taught in the Black community to love myself. If there was any talk about self love, that meant you were conceited, you were arrogant, which is something I didn't want to do. Then finding myself in a situation where I rose to the top, everything that I wanted, then fell flat on my face and around people that I once judged, I once scorned. I turned into that.
Mm.
And realizing that, wow, hey, they're just like myself. When I ended up in the shelter with nothing, I ended up losing my car. Um, Around people that were in a situation like I was in the situation, but people too, again, educated, not dirty, not on drugs. I promised myself from then that when I get out of the situation, not if, because I knew I was going to, because again, Air Peppy was going to power up and fly. I was going to make sure I did not forget my journey. And you know how they say don't look back?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I said to myself I was going to look back while I was moving forward. And the reason I was going to look back is there's going to be someone that was going to go through something that I was going through. And I would say, come, here I am. Look, follow. Or you can even go your own path, but use me as that example. We're going to get through it, and let me share some of my experiences that could maybe help motivate you to get that start, to get the help that you need for yourself. And I was going to be that listening ear that I never had. I don't know everything. I'm still learning. I want everyone to know I still go through those rough times. I don't know everything about epilepsy. Um, just recently, with a lot of stress that I took on, I had 3 seizures in 1 month. This is from going from not having a seizure in the last 2 years. And I realized there are certain triggers now that trigger me: stress, anxiety. I still go through depression. So I don't want anybody to think that this is something that magically disappears. It's life. You go through challenges. I think anxiety, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, is normal. Um, I think depression, which is to me an emotion of sadness, confusion, frustration, and you don't know is normal to me. But I did not know, or I was never taught how to handle these things
Right.
when they come along. And this is where I want to be that person that's saying, no, in life, there's going to be bumps, there's going to be turbulence. But first, let's acknowledge and let's go and take that moment, feel sad, cry. But how are you going to get out of that moment? How are you going to get yourself back up? And that's where I come in and I'm saying, all right, what can we do?
Right.
How can I help with that way of not putting myself as a therapist, as a coach, just as someone that you can relate to that will say it's okay to get help. It's normal. It's okay that you're going through this. So take a moment and now what is going to work for you to get through it so that you can move forward. And again, I carry some of the baggage with me right now. I still carry it, but it gets lighter the more I go up. But I don't think it's ever gone.
Right.
But it gets lighter.
So it is very true that in the Black community, we do bury a lot of what goes on mentally. And in the church community as well. Everything is, shh, we don't talk about this. You know, we don't want anybody to know. We don't want our families to know. We don't want our friends to know. And so they will literally ignore the glaring issue that's within the family, within the community. That is something that we need to destigmatize. We need to eradicate because it's super important. Our mental health, our physical health, our spiritual health, our well being is crucial. And so, Karen, I would ask you, what can you tell? You already said a lot of it, but if there's anything else you want to tell people who are going through mental health issues or going through epilepsy, what words of encouragement would you give them, young, old, within the Black community? What can they do if they don't feel like they're getting the support from their family or other people in the community, churches? What would you advise them to do as far as how to get help for themselves? Because you know, and the individual will know something's wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
And without going to a doctor and relying on your family to help you through it, what would you say to somebody? How could you encourage them to, not feed into that stigma within the community?
I'm going to start with the ones on the outside that may not be going through anything. Stop looking for a look. Stop looking for mental challenges, epilepsy to have that look. Because I am one of the ones that on the outside, you can't see it. And most of us going through something, uh, the epilepsy, the mental challenges, most of us don't have that look. Or I should say, not most, a lot of us don't have that look where with epilepsy, there are people that have had strokes, or you could see physically that something's wrong. Do not judge someone from their physical look. For those that are going through something, I would say sometimes we don't know that something's wrong, but we have an intuition. Hmm, hmm, hmm. If you have that, I would say to everyone, try to create right from now, whether you're going through it or not going through it, you should have a safe space. A safe space helped me that, and my safe space is a quiet place and I have a mirror. My issue was looking at myself in that mirror and talking back to myself. And yes, I answered myself too. And it was where I was looking at myself, Karen, I would say, I love me. I do my affirmations. I love you, girl. I love you, girl. I love you and I want to take care of you. Something doesn't feel right. I was uncomfortable with going to my friends. Plus, I didn't want to throw my burdens down that way. I actually found the courage to go to a stranger which for me was more comfortable. It took me 7 therapists to find the right one because, again, I wanted someone that was going to listen. I'm going to say to the person going through it, hopefully, the person that you find to talk to. One of my strategies that I try to use when someone comes to me and says, I want to talk to you, I do ask first. Um, with my reaction, are you talking to me for me to find help, or are you talking for me to listen so I know first?
Right.
And then I will also make it clear that please understand what you tell me. If it is that you are going to harm yourself or harm anybody around you, I am obligated to find help. With that, I will be there with you. And I kind of use, because I needed help myself, and it's okay. So I do want to let you know there are certain things that certain people have told me that I cannot keep it because it was to harm themselves. But for someone, when you say that to the person now, just know that that person is there. Tell the person, I just want you to listen. I just want you to listen. And also know that the person listening, even if you want them to react, they may not know everything. And the person that's listening, I'm going to go back to you. I'm bouncing back and forth. It's okay if you don't know. And that person told Emma, you could tell me something and this and this. And what do you think? It's okay to say, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do in this situation. I think we got to look for something else. And I think that will also help the person um, feel, okay, you know what? It's okay. I didn't know. You didn't know because we don't know it all. But let's figure it out. I'm just saying the truth. The truth is what it is. It can become more harmful when someone like a friend tries to play a therapist or play that they know it all. When you're not giving the person what they need, just say you don't know and listen. My trigger was people saying to me, "Oh, go pray or go read the Bible." I didn't even understand the Bible. I didn't understand what prayer was. I say to people, I don't pray, but I do talk to God now. I've developed a relationship which that relationship came to be because I removed that whole church thing path for me. I removed that and now I can gain a relationship. And again, the self confidence and the self love that I continue to pour in myself. There are times that I have doubt. There, fear. Fear is the biggest thing, and people still have fear. But again, that self love is, I talk to myself every morning and every night. Girl, what we gonna do today? How are we gonna get out of this? Cry. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But I wake up grateful that I have another day that I don't know and I'm gonna figure it out. And at that point, clarity. Clarity and cleansing. Clarity and cleansing just doesn't mean physically clarity and cleansing. It may be mentally and removing blocks, people that at that moment in your life that may not be good for you. And that's, again, for you to know that is a lot of soul searching and a lot of self care and self love.
So it sounds like what you're saying is for other people who are going through this, what they should do is first find that self love. And there's a lot of inner work that they have to do for themselves because you did say you suffered with self-esteem. That was one of the things that you suffered through. So it sounds to me like you're saying self-love, self-care, self-affirmations, um, finding that safe space, and maybe a person, is it if it's a therapist, sometimes it's a stranger. In your case it was a stranger because the Black community was not helping you. They were telling you to just go and pray. And I will say a lot of churches are nothing but racketeers and they're only in it for money. So it's about finding the right pastor or church where your soul and your spirit is being fed, you're learning, You mentioned not knowing the Bible. And that's because you did not have the right leaders. So just to say go and pray or go read the Bible is not an answer if you don't understand the Bible. You need the right leader, teacher, and guide. So if you are a spiritual person, that might be the one of the things to do is finding that right place. You are now talking to God, even though you don't understand the Bible, but you are developing a relationship with God. So it sounds like there's your spiritual well-being, your soul, your body, your mental health,
It's a
all of that.
combination.
Yeah, all of that encompasses. But then also, once you identify that something's actually wrong with you, then you want to also seek medical help.
I promote professional help because that is something that worked for me. However, not every professional knows how to, because we're all individual. For me, I will say for any professional that's out there, whether it's going to be a therapist or there are other people that have that I've heard of that actually didn't actually go through a professional therapy, but went through a professional program like drawing. For me, music is my release place where I can use music. There are people that went to programs that wasn't a traditional doctor talking to them about here sitting at across from each other, but they went to a program where they were able to draw out their feelings. Um, Painting is very therapeutic.
So things in the
Therapeutical,
arts for
yes,
you
were my things. Long walks for me.
some people may want. You also are a very, very huge workout person too.
Yes,
So, maybe it's athletics, maybe it's working out. That can also
those are
help.
my releasing ways. But it was again that therapist that spoke to me, and we had conversations with each other. She got to know me. I wasn't getting to know her. And then she was asking me, what do I like? So find what you like and find someone who I would say someone, because you know what? It could be someone's pastor that's there, but you assess that person.
Mm-hmm.
Find out if that person is listening to you and asking you what you want, not telling you what you should do. That person's not inside here. And I always say, please do not compare yourself to everyone else. I thought trauma had to be someone died, or like some serious, like someone hit by a car, or I thought that was what trauma was. I didn't know trauma is individualized to that person. I didn't know what I went through with some of the names that I was being called. I didn't know that was trauma. So to me, for anyone going through anything, do not compare yourself to anyone else. And that's where I really promote getting professional help or professional counseling so they can focus on you and your trauma individualized to you. For those on the outside, please do not compare us to anybody else. Well, you didn't go through this or you didn't go, that doesn't mean I'm not going through something. I'm an individualized person with my brain, my story. And that's where I can give any advice, especially to our Black community. Open your ears more. Close this. And when you got to open this, ask more. Karen, I'm not familiar with this. You know what? You just you just blanked out for a moment, and something was going on. Don't automatically say I'm crazy. Karen, I don't know what just happened. Let me get you some water. I think we need to bring somebody in, and I want to be there with you for that time. Or you know what? You could say, Karen, I'm going through something right now, and I can't be there, but my advice is that you need to research and look this up, and let's start. Why don't you start there? Are you comfortable with that? That would make me more comfortable with going to look for myself. And another thing that I would say for those that have gone through something, um, come out more, talk more, share your stories more, so that those ones that are hiding, that are ashamed, that are scared, will see more of us coming out and normalizing, talking, so they can get to help themselves.
And you just answered my question, because my next question was, what would you say to the Black community based on what you went through
Mm-hmm.
and all of the false narratives that were being spread about you based on your diagnosis?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to the Black community? Like, how would you advise them? But you just answered. You just
Well, I will say something too with the Black community. We have said we've gotten so far, but we're still operating back then. Truly, modernize yourself. Get up with the time. Stop telling me about 1925
Mhm.
and tell me about 2024. Um, there's Google. There are walks and talks. Modernize yourself. And let's not go back to where we talk about mental health, where we talk about all these different disabilities and disorders that are going on right now and what we can do. We're still living way back there where we're still the Black community, very judgmental and very close-minded. And we also have this air of perfection, like we have to be perfect. We're not perfect. So open up and stop judging and listen. It would help if you would listen and don't jump for that fix that you don't even know what that. You could have told me, you know what, go read the Bible, and I go read the Bible and then end up trying to kill myself because I didn't understand it. If you don't know, start asking questions and just ask. I don't know. Is it okay if I ask you more about what you're going through? Because I don't understand. And I think we're going to have to get some help. You know what, Karen? I spoke with someone and I'm going through something right now. So can we both understand this together? Are you okay? And then you separate. But for me personally, Emma, if I had had that one person that's very important, I didn't want anybody to sympathize for me because again, I'm coming from that Black community where we're strong.
We are
We
strong.
don't want anybody to feel sorry. Sympathy is definitely different from empathy. Know the difference. So don't come, oh, poor you. No, no, no. Karen, oh my gosh. That was brave of you to come out and say, you know what? I'm so proud of you. Let's find this. Let me feel like a champion with coming out and saying this. Let me feel like I did the right thing without you trying to feel sorry for me, like something's wrong with me. Tell me something's right with me for saying what I need to say about what's going on inside my head.
So it sounds to me like Black community, one of the first things we need to do is educate ourselves. Just like we would do if our child was developed autism, God forbid, or got injured and you had to learn how to take care of them after they were released from the hospital, or they had an illness, a physical illness that kept them in the hospital, like asthma or things like that. We would immediately want to learn how to care for our child so that our child is able to live a long, healthy life. The same would go for mental health or epilepsy. Instead of just sweeping it under the rug and saying, "Oh, she's just crazy," or "Oh, just go pray," it sounds to me like what Karen is saying, who has lived with this, is that stop judging, learn about it, educate yourself, ask questions, and encourage her, not discourage her.
Thank
And
you.
so I think that is, just to summarize it, that is the lesson. And we as a Black community really need to latch on to that and really, really make that effort to not just sweep things under the rug and keep it quiet in the house. And that doesn't help the person that's living through this illness or whatever they're going through. It's very important to have that open communication, that open dialogue, and that education.
Thank you. I'm going to say one more thing, especially when it comes to epilepsy. Um, what I have is, what are one of my triggers is um, if you talk too fast to me and I'm not getting it, it seems jumbled up inside. And With this epilepsy also is my brain sometimes moves faster than my mouth, and I'm trying to get out the words, so it's almost like I'm stumbling. I would ask for those that are you'll kind of hear me sometimes stutter a little bit or and I don't know what I'm saying. It is very triggering where someone is saying, come on, sit. What is it? What are you dumb?"
Oh,
That can bring on a seizure for me because I will get so worked up. No, give me this, and they want me to just give me. I will literally, and that's where I distance myself from people. When I say to you, stop, stop, stop. Black people, listen. You don't know why that person's telling you to just back away, give me some space, because that can give me that trigger. And just because you're expecting me to get it out, and sometimes my brain just doesn't match my mouth and it doesn't come out. That's a symptom. And again, as I'm going to ask, do not judge people by their physical appearance. There are things going on inside this beautiful face and beautiful body. Stop judging because I wasn't getting the help I needed because no one believed me because I look like this.
it's that ripe old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. And when you do identify and understand what that person's going through, you don't want to just ignore it. We want to make sure that we acknowledge what this person is going through. And in this case, we're talking about Karen. And make sure that we, again, I will say this moreover, educate yourself like you would want to do with anything that you are interested and care about or love or are passionate about. You will do the most to learn it, right? So if you have a loved one that's going through something, please ensure that you want to understand and learn. It's not always easy. I mean, we have to care for our elderly parents who are going through things like dementia and Alzheimer's, but we would make a point of learning it so that we can make sure we care for our parents or a loved one. It's the same with epilepsy. So we really are laboring to destigmatize what is all of this narrative and the falseness about this illness. And so that is why we're having this discussion. It is crucial, it's important. And I'm sure that there are some listeners out there that, have this or some version of epilepsy.
Disorder.
And I think that this will be helpful to them as well. That's why I'm asking you as well to, let the people know what they can do and arm them with tools. So I appreciate you
One in
telling us this.
100 Canadians have epilepsy.
There are some stats,
Some that don't know.
and there we
It
have
is
it.
known in our Black community. There are a lot that don't know they have epilepsy because of their different symptoms or seizures. They don't even know they're having seizures. So again, get checked. If you follow your intuition, if you feel something off, or even with the memory, and as you were saying with dementia and stroke and Alzheimer's, that is my fear, and that's where I keep myself active and I try to work with my brain. But there are a lot of us that don't know. Please get out there and do your research, or just go to your local doctor and just speak what's going on inside. They will refer you, and follow that referral.
Are there any tests that you can take prematurely to find out if you have that, or is it? I know it's a neurological disorder, but are there any like blood labs or anything
I
that?
don't even know. To be honest, we were having that conversation. I don't know. I've done every test. I think I even put it up on my Instagram once, where you've seen all these cords on my. Everything came back fine. Um, you could have Apple, and they don't know where this came from, or there's nothing that shows anything wrong. But
Right.
you're having this, so you will, when you tell the doctor, and that's where, for me, I had to get someone that experienced it, because when I'm having a seizure, I don't know what it looks like. I just feel what it feels like my body after. It feels like a workout for the neurological one, or I feel that day's feeling, but I don't know what's happening to me while
when
it's
it's
happening.
happening. Mhm.
It's good that if someone is there, they come to the doctors with you. And that's what someone did for me. And the doctor asked what was going on, and they
Because
told,
they
and that,
witnessed it, so
yes,
they were
and
able
that's
to.
where it said I was getting medications for different things, and they said, no, this sounds like epilepsy. Let
Mm.
me take you here. But I would say to everyone out there, you're going to know something's off for those that are witnessing it or for those that are having it. Those blank moments, or even your memory, the short term memory that and you can't remember this. I would say to everyone that's having that, Google. Google is our best friend right now. Step up in time. Don't ignore it. Just start Googling, reading, looking about that symptoms, and then, compare yourself. Is this happening? Is that happening? And then you'll do the next step. Go to the doctors.
There you go. So it's not a cookie cutter, every all size fits all illness. So, and sometimes it involves a lot of testing. And as Karen said, if somebody actually witnessed the seizure, they would be able to describe it to the doctor as well. Now, I'm assuming it would be a neurologist that you would see, or
Yes,
um,
an epilepsy specialist. There's one on Queensway that I went to, um, and we had to do again a lot of testing.
yeah.
I wish for me that I had done it even sooner,
But
but there was a
again,
lot
when
of
you have a
avoidance.
community
Yes,
that's telling you, ah, it's nothing, you're just crazy, or it's all in your mind, and sometimes even doctors say that. Sometimes, there has been people that have been diagnosed with just anxiety or clinical depression when there's something more going on. Because it's not one of those illnesses that you can just easily say, oh, that's got to be what it is. So you have to, sort of do your diligence and take charge of your health, and get those, make sure you get in front of the right doctors and get those tests done.
and break that stigma that you have to hide something's hide. Hide. No, no. My I do my physical test every year at the doctor. I don't hide that, guys. I'm going to do my physical. I don't hide that.
Absolutely.
So why would I? You know what? When you say I have a headache, you don't hide that. Same thing. You know what? Something's going on here. You know what? I think you need to go check with the doctors. Once you Google this symptom, it looks like this. Normalize this.
Mm-hmm.
Normalize this to find out more information. Normalize that it's okay.
Yeah,
If something's going, it's okay to not be okay.
exactly.
There's ways that we can figure it out that will work best for your individual situation.
There you have it, Karen Samuels. So tell us, Karen, where can everybody find you? I know you have so much going on. What's new? What have you got going on? Because let me tell you, this beautiful woman here she stays working. She stays active. She is constantly doing and volunteering and giving back. So tell us, what have you got going
Well,
on?
Instagram is where you can find me more, which is my mental story. And that is where I show you my lived life experience of going out there, highlighting myself and the community, doing my give backs. As you know, my once a year Jane and Finch give back, which is to a community that I grew up with. And I want them to know I am worthy is my new motto. Everyone is worth everything to themselves first, and they will then shine that on their outward self to the world. So my page, I am my mental story is where you can find me. Other than that, around Emma, that you could do, because I will stick with her, because music surrounds her, and music is part of my therapy that I use. um, Other than that, I do speak about not just epilepsy, but my own lived experiences that I have to encourage, to motivate, and to inspire others to normalize the look and face of mental challenges.
Karen, I think that you have given a bunch of people a lot of information and encouragement if they're going through this or anything else. Anything else. whether it be mental health or epilepsy. I think this is very, very useful. You tell us what you think. Don't forget, like, comment, share this content, drop some comments in the chat, give us a thumbs up if you want to see more of this. Karen and I will have many more sessions like this and we'll talk about different topics. I didn't tell you this, but we are going to talk about menopause next.
Ugh.
Because that is another thing that I think there's so many women out here in their 50s that are going through menopause or perimenopause and are experiencing a lot of physical, emotional, psychological things that are going on and don't understand what it is. So we are going to have that discussion as well, and we're going to share our experiences and some information. And we may even have an expert on with us so that we can share that. So please keep it locked. Thanks so much again for tuning in. You heard where you can find Karen. I'll put all that information in below. And until next time, please be safe, everyone. Peace be.